With the moment finally here, Mike Tyson vs. Jake Paul has drawn mixed reviews from critics and fans alike. Some nostalgic Tyson fans have convinced themselves that Tyson's legendary power will come through one last time, while conventional fans believe the unprecedented 31-year age difference will be too much to overcome, even for Iron Mike. Here we look at 5 factors that will play heavily into the fight, and perhaps determine its outcome. The biggest and most obvious elephant in the room is, of course, Tyson's age. He comes into the fight at 58 years old. Boxing legends such as Archie Moore, George Foreman, and more recently Bernard Hopkins defied the odds in major fights, with Moore winning his last fight at the age of 50, Hopkins winning numerous fights as he approached that same age, and most famously, Foreman winning the lineal heavyweight title at the age of 45. You can look at this in 2 ways. Some will say Tyson is much older than either of the trio mentioned, while some will counter by offering that he is facing a much lesser talent than either of those fighters faced in the twilight of their respective careers. But at Tyson's age, questions regarding his gas tank, legs, and even punch resistance, which was never an issue in his career, are crucial ones to ask for Friday night's challenge. Next, we look at Paul, who despite his and his brother's enormous economic success has begun to tail off lately. First there was the decision loss to Tommy Fury, followed by a decision win over the much lighter Nate Diaz, and knockouts over nondescript competition until his most recent KO, an early round stoppage over bare-knuckle brawler Mike Perry. Paul, who to some extent stacks up as a far more monetarily successful version of Butterbean back in the day, needs a big splash in this fight, which tells us he plans on doing whatever he can to knock Tyson out in devastating fashion. In doing so, will he seriously injure a hero to millions? Or will he make a fateful mistake by opening himself up against a still dangerous older version of one of the most devastating fighters in boxing history? Which brings us to Paul's power. Regardless of his lack of respect from boxing purists, he packs a punch. In addition, he'll come in heavier than ever, possibly in an effort to lean on Tyson to tire him out. Speaking of legs and footwork, Paul showed in his latest fight with Perry that he has the ability to move around the ring against slower-footed opponents, a strategy he'll likely employ early in the bout. One key factor that may benefit both fighters are the shorter rounds. An 8-rounder with 2-minute rounds apiece, fatigue will still be a factor, though hopefully not as much. In particular in the case of Tyson, will this help him maintain his power and legs later into the fight? Or will it simply allow Paul to move around untouched for 16 consecutive minutes? Finally, we must focus on Tyson's huge edge in experience. Even at 58 years old, he is miles ahead of anyone Paul's fought in terms of boxing technique, has a better chin, and poses the most risk thus far in what will be Paul's 12th pro fight. Can Tyson utilize a lifetime's worth of experience to weather what will surely be a dangerous storm, if for no other reason he's facing a man less than half his age? The prediction here says Paul moves around as much as possible early, uses his jab to stay outside, and leans on Tyson as much as he can to put rounds in the bank. If you want to see a visual display of this, watch the old Tommy Morrison fight against an older George Foreman. This is an unlikely victory for Tyson, and I'm not sure if this prediction comes from the heart or my mind, but my belief says somehow, Tyson lands the money punch one more time, and reminds us all why we loved watching him so much in the first place.